First, let me say thank you for all who have faithfully attended through Lent. We had no food, and yet you came. It was great. We were fed in word and song, so thank you so much. A special thank you to parents and children. I don't think it will go quote-unquote rewarded. You plant seeds. You really do in children. And you young ones, I really appreciate you being here. I hope. If you have any questions about the plays and whatever, and again, parents, at the conclusion of this, if you approve, well, the play has to pick up where we let off, and we let off with donuts. So there are donuts again up here. So it's up to y'all. So, but only with parental and grandparent approval. Now, my favorite table story by far in Scripture comes from the Gospel of Luke. And it's about how God opens our hearts and our eyes and our minds and our spirits around God's table. Very blatantly, Luke writes it that way. You might know it very, very well. It takes place on the evening of Easter when two men are walking on the road to Emmaus. Remember that one? And they are crushed at having seen their teacher and friend, the one in whom they placed so much of their hopes for the restoration of Israel. They've seen him crucified. Now they're shaken and confused by reports from women that Christ is risen. And Jesus, unrecognized by them, meets them on the road and asks them all about this. Are you the only man in all of Jerusalem who doesn't know what happened? No, why don't you tell me, he says. He ends up talking to them and teaching them that all this had to take place. Still, they don't recognize him. Then, as evening approaches, they invite him to be their guest at a table. And soon the guest becomes host. As they approached the village to which they were going, Jesus continued on as if he was going further. But they urged him strongly, "Stay with us now, for it is evening, and the day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened and they recognized him, and he disappeared from their sight. They asked each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road and opened scriptures to us?" They got up and returned at once to Jerusalem. There they found the 11 and those with them assembled together and saying, "It is true, the Lord has risen, and he has appeared to Simon." Then the two told what had happened on the way and how Jesus was recognized by them when he broke the bread. At the table, their eyes were opened. How might God be at work to open our eyes in many places, maybe at a table, a family gathering, or elsewhere? How might God be at work to open the eyes of Greg, our central character, Uncle Greg, in our story? How might God be at work to open his eyes to forgiveness and grace and reconciliation to which we are called? Our story must conclude this week. It has been fun asking people how they think it might conclude. For anyone who wasn't here, I have to recap for a second. And Steve has shown up at the home of his uncle, or he's in the garage or his workshop working on this family table. We've heard stories about the table and stories of grace and welcome. We have learned that Greg's brother, Steve's father, has come with his son to town, maybe in hopes of seeing his brother. He is waiting outside in the car or in a coffee shop nearby to see what might happen with his son and his brother. Greg and Steve's father have been estranged for years due to the fact that Steve's father made foolish investments with their parents' savings and ended up wasting it. Their parents ended up with nothing, and Steve has found his uncle here working at this table, the table around which Greg, his brother, and the whole family sat for years. In a strange move, Steve's father has sent to his brother at his garage 4 dozen donuts. They're a reminder of feasts gone by and of God's all too abundant grace. We end where we left off.
Stick your finger in. Those look pretty good.
I think I'm getting sprinkles.
Sprinkles everywhere.
Which one do you want?
Oh, I don't know. I've got my eye on that Bavarian cream.
Not this pink?
No,
confetti?
no. You can have that one. You might need that for a while.
Uncle Greg, you've got to get one of these.
I will.
Bavarian cream?
It just doesn't work that way. It's going to take more than some donuts.
I know. Dad knows.
This is just like him. He probably thinks this is funny.
He was just trying to help us remember a different time, that's all.
Well, you can't go back in time. You shouldn't have come.
I know. I'm sorry, Uncle Greg. I really am. You're right. I shouldn't have come. Of course, I didn't know that Dad was behind all of this. I didn't know that he planned this, the donuts, me being here, everything. I guess he just thought that he wanted us to be better, even if you and him couldn't be better.
But he wanted to see me. He didn't just send you. He's out there somewhere, driving around. He's waiting to hear from you, to get a text that says, "Come on in, your brother will see you now." Like Jacob coming to Esau for forgiveness. And he expects me to be Esau after he wasted my birthright, my inheritance. He thinks that we'll sit down here at our old table and the memories will just start flowing through, and we'll sit and we'll eat and pretend that nothing has changed.
He's your brother.
I know he's my brother. And I'll love him, okay? But that doesn't mean I have to sit here and drink coffee and eat donuts.
That's where you're wrong, Uncle Greg. You don't really love him if you can't sit and eat with him. It doesn't work that way.
What doesn't work that way?
Grace, forgiveness, love, pick your word.
You're the one that doesn't believe.
In the church, a bit. But I do believe in grace and forgiveness. Mom and Dad showed it to me. You have. Aunt Martha certainly did.
She did. I'm not so sure about me.
Maybe that's part of the problem. She's gone. She would have pushed you to talk to him.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Is that him?
Yes.
Well, what's he want?
He wants to know if he should come in or ride by.
I don't know.
I could stay.
No. If you stay, I won't see him.
Why not?
I need more room for honesty and anger.
You know, you're right about this table. It isn't magic. It's not as if you're going to sit and the two of you are going to resolve everything like there's some kind of magic rubbed into the wood of this table. But it does have a lot of memories and feelings and history about it.
Yes.
Do you know my favorite story about tables in the Bible?
No. From the disruption you've caused here, I'd say it was Jesus overturning the tables in the temple.
No, though I do like an angry Jesus sometimes. No, it's the road to Emmaus.
I wouldn't have thought of that. They don't call it the table at Emmaus.
They should. You remember?
Yes. But I doubt that'll stop you from telling it again.
Okay, I won't.
Oh, no, please do. I want to make sure you get it right.
You'll know?
I've heard it enough.
There are two men on the road.
One name,
I forget.
Cleopas.
And the other?
Oh, no name. He didn't get any royalties from the story either.
So, two men on the road. They're walking. It's Easter afternoon. They're walking away from Jerusalem. And the resurrected Jesus joins them.
Okay.
It's funny if you think about it.
What brings this to mind?
A couple of things. Mostly because I met this girl.
Oh.
Really nice, but she's a little bit too religious for me. She drugged me to her church's theater production of The Road to Emmaus.
Oh.
You know I'm a theater snob.
And I'm a religious snob.
It was okay to a point.
Well.
They played into the funny aspect of Jesus, the resurrected Jesus, and them not knowing for some reason, recognizing him for who he was. And Jesus asked them, "What are you talking about?" And they say, "Are you the only person in this town who doesn't know about Jesus of Nazareth and how he was supposed to do great things?" And Jesus says, "No, why don't you fill me in?"
Yeah, I guess that is kind of funny when you think about it.
They do. He says, "We had hoped." And Jesus says,
"Oh, you slow-hearted, dim-witted people, was it necessary for the Messiah to suffer, then rise?" Yes, and then he preached to them, explaining it all.
and it was okay to a point.
Okay.
But at this point, Jesus started to sound a lot like a television evangelist. I was waiting for him to start asking for donations.
Oh, no.
And then the big climax, where they ask Jesus to stay. And Jesus sits and breaks the bread, and their eyes are opened.
And then he disappears from them. So,
Jesus sits. He breaks the bread. Their eyes are opened, and the lights start going crazy, and then angels come down and are singing, and Jesus is all aglow, and there's this fog machine behind him, and everyone watching is amazed and reverent. But me, I just burst out in uncontrollable laughter. I couldn't stop until finally my date had to drag me out of the theater. Needless to say, it was our last date. But I kept trying to explain to her, I just didn't think that it happened like that. That it was just too much, you know? And she said, "How do you know?" And I don't.
what's your point?
I think sometimes at our tables of Emmaus, we want them to be fantastic and obvious. Maybe sometimes our eyes are opened, but we're squinting, unsure of what we're seeing. Maybe something like that. But Jesus did appear to them, and when he broke bread with them, they experienced grace and forgiveness and a restored hope at the table.
I tell you what. You get Jesus in here to break the bread, and I'll text your dad.
What makes you think he's not already here?
Breaking the donuts?
I think you've already done a good job of that yourself.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Guess Dad did what he wanted. He got us talking. That's important.
Yeah? At this table.
What should I tell him?
You decide.
What?
You decide. You go out there. You decide.
You can't put that on me.
I can so. You and your dad, you decide. If I can't do it, I just won't answer the door.
He's texting again. I better go before he wrecks.
You're a good boy, Steve. Well, a good man. You keep those emails and stuff coming. I enjoy those articles you send me from school. Hey, I'm a lonely old man now. The kids aren't around much, so anytime you feel like coming by, you do so. We'll take in a baseball game this summer.
I'd like that, Uncle Donut. I better go.
Okay.